Today I woke up at 1:20 and I was sort of having suicidal thoughts, and I've eaten, well, this is my 6th Laura bar, so I just keep eating. And I was crying a bit. I just feel like I want to get out of here. I don't know. I think living in the wrong situation is probably the worst thing ever. I don't think any meds or any supplements or any vitamins can make up for it. And last night I did something stupid. I have like a whole file box of paper that needs to be shredded from like accumulated over the last year or so, and I was thinking, oh, I'll just burn it. So down in my little hole outside cement area, I was like burning it, and it's like making a lot of smoke, and duh, that's so stupid. And then I was hoping it would eventually smolder and burn it all, but it was taking forever. So eventually I poured water on it, and then I'm like, oh, well, I don't know if it's still burning, so I put it in a tote in the bathtub and filled it up with water, so it would be definitely not burning still, because I couldn't risk bringing it inside and it still be burning at all. So now I have this big tote full of water with like burnt paper and shit in it, and somehow I have to figure out how to deal with that, because the tote's too heavy to lift out of the bathtub, and I don't know, it's just stupid. And then I realized it's like my ego desperately wanting attention, like, but not wanting attention, creating stupidity. So I feel like I have no energy. I could be taking all these extra meds, like the extra Seroquel, the trazodone to sleep. It just doesn't feel good. Tomorrow I have a blood donation appointment. And the next day I see my counselor and I get my tooth fixed, hopefully. And then maybe my car will get fixed and maybe I can just leave. I just don't see the point in being here. I just can't live here. And I feel trapped. I would go get a job, but I'm having such trouble sleeping. I don't know what the hell to do. I have nothing to say. I don't feel like I want to talk to myself anymore. So that could mean the end of talking to myself is worse than the beginning. I haven't gotten anywhere in over 2 years. There's nowhere to go. I just want to get out of here and never come back. I'm sick of this material realm. I have cramps, or I had cramps. I took naproxen. So I realized that could be some of why I was feeling really low energy and kind of down and out. And it comes and goes. I'm probably more of a, quote, rapid cycler now than I was before. So I feel like up and I say things that show that I'm up, and then the next day I'm kind of like, oh my gosh, I can't keep going. And I started watching some YouTube, and I watched this thing on a hypnotist guy, Albert Nuremberg. And I watched his hypnotist presentation, and it was interesting because he talks about how the state of hypnosis is much like going into REM sleep. And I'm pretty sure, without looking it up, that REM sleep is dream sleep. So what this relates to for me is how I've been talking about how a lot of so-called psychosis and altered states is sort of like dreaming while awake. And so people who are hypnotized are sort of in this dreaming state, but he's saying they're wide awake. And he was making the point that it's very regenerative. So the people he hypnotized would be feeling really regenerated after. So this relates to how this REM sleep, this REM brain state while awake is a healing process or something that is regenerative. So when it happens in the way of a psychosis, it's really troubling sometimes. So in the case of him, this hypnotist, Albert Nuremberg, being on stage and putting people into a REM state, and then they're suggestible and he'll do what they say. So they're kind of in a dream state, but he's the one directing the dream. Whereas if someone is in a so-called psychosis or altered state, they're in a REM state, but there's actual dream content while awake that is directing what one is doing. So one is being directed by this dream state while awake. And so one is acting according to this, whatever is coming in this REM state that needs to be healed, but it's coming out in daily life, because acting it out in daily life is more healing. But it can also be stuff from past life or family history in the collective dream or nightmare of the family history that's in the DNA. So it's being made aware of in life, and it's sort of being acted out in conscious life in order to sort of become aware of it again and possibly heal it. Or, these patterns, they repeat themselves. So maybe part of the healing is not acting them out, even though one becomes aware of them. So it's really interesting because, it's hard to know what's going on. But anyway, he was saying in his TED Talk, hypnosis itself is uncharted, and the dreaming state is tremendously recuperative. And he said hypnosis is the common massive inheritance of all humanity, or something like that. So one could say psychosis is a common massive inheritance of all humanity. It's sort of a REM state while wide awake or something. I don't know the science of it. I can make lots of similes and metaphors and quickly relate it to what I've seen or looked at in daily life. But if I was to take the time to research this relating hypnosis to psychosis or REM state to psychosis or what have you, it would take 10, 20 years to create the science to prove it. But what I'm more so doing is trying to take some of the illness out of it. Like, these are things the brain can do, and then people get directed by that, just as they might get directed by a hypnotist or directed by someone who is torturing them. So some of the stuff that comes up in psychosis is like the torture of mankind, and then it's hard not to be acting out something related to being tortured in a way. And we are being tortured because we're not allowed to be ourselves. And we don't even know what that is. And if we have a bipolar diagnosis, oftentimes we have come into contact with what that is more so. And then when we're not able to be that way, or it's not happening that way, it is a downer, because we have seen and been and accessed that which we're able to be. And so I looked into this Albert Nuremberg guy, and he's creating a movie it's a documentary called You Are What You Act. And it's not out yet. I wasn't able to find it, but I did see a trailer, and he has a video on YouTube called Super Dramatic, You Are What You Act. And it's sort of a bit of the science behind it. And he calls himself a laughologist, and he calls what he's developed actor size. So he talks about how what Amy Cuddy talks about in her research in terms of the power poses and how they affect mood, and some other guy who said he's hacked love, so you can kind of fall in love with anyone. He's saying that somebody else said that those exercises are basically what they teach in Acting 101 or drama classes. And then I came across this article called You Become What You Pretend to Be by the Creativity Post. And it's a good article. It talks about Michelangelo and Salvador Dali, and says Salvador Dali was really shy, and his grandpa or something gave him his uncle said, be an actor and act. And eventually he became like this really gregarious personality of his time or something. So he became what he pretended to be. And somebody else was saying that a lot of painters, they paint sort of sad stuff because they're isolated. So Leonardo da Vinci had people like playing music and being joyful around him when he painted the Mona Lisa because of that. You know, and see, these are things that I've experienced in my life, and I'm sort of battling with right now, is that I do really well around lots of like positive and happy people. And it's a scientific thing. It's not unscientific. So I do really well, and I become happy. And so it says here, Leonardo da Vinci also observed that it's no mystery why it's fun to be around happy people and depressing to be around depressed people. Blah, blah, blah. So that was a good article. And I also read one time that they created like smile therapy for bipolar people. Just smile 20 minutes a day, you know. And then somewhere there was a quote, if one has the intention of becoming a monk and goes through the motions of acting like a monk, he will become a monk. So I feel like with people who experience so-called mania, we can create an intention to become almost anything that we want, because we've already had that energy of being exactly how we want. And I asked myself the question, am I pretending to be sad where I am? Like, I don't generally feel sad, but I feel like around people who, it's almost not safe for me to be as happy as I can, because then I get drugged and called bipolar and manic and everything. So I feel like the sadness I feel could almost be pretend sadness. Like, it's real, but it's also me like faking being sad without trying to fake it. Just like when I'm super happy, I'm not faking it. It's just how it is. It's just how it is. So I'm sad, that's how it is. But I feel like it's almost like pretending to keep myself safe. And so this article on You Become What You Pretend to Be, I think it was, says your attitude influences your behavior, and conversely, your behavior influences your attitude. So usually we try to like psych ourselves up in our mind in order to behave a certain way. And I've talked about this a lot with myself in terms of the epigenetic matrix and the effect that it has on us. One sec. Anyway, what I'm trying to say, even though I feel partially grumpy, this Albert guy, he was saying there's a new science of embodied cognition. So talking about body posture related to how we feel and stuff, and that creating our behavior. And what I'm trying to get at is that in his thing that he shares about actor size, he's talking about like this wow posture, like going wow, and then you feel kind of in awe, and then the thumbs up, and then the smile and laugh, and the Wonder Woman pose and the victory pose. And he also said do like this gesture as a rejection of the feeling of judgment for people who are basically saying you can't be that happy. So what I'm trying to say is this is kind of what happens in mania, is we gesture ourselves into being that happy. So we do the more and more things that we do with our body, we get more and more happy. So a lot of times we're really generous and we talk to people randomly for long periods of time. We don't have somewhere else to be except the present moment. And I feel people who are in mania, how they behave and act could be studied in order to share with other people how to get that happy, as opposed to studying how to bring people down and make them mediocre. So, you know, to have a few gestures like smile and make a wow face and things like that, the gestures that we do in mania are way more powerful than that. And for me, I would love for everyone to be as happy as one feels in mania and not feel like anyone has to be any lower than that. So it would be cool to be able to share those gestures so other people could do that too. And that's what this guy is saying, like, oh wow, look, there's this new science of actor sizing. You act a certain way, you know, you fake it till you make it. The thing is, with the power of mania, we don't have to fake anything. And we all have that power accessible in an instant. And it would make us act a certain way. So I feel like I've talked about it with myself at great length over the last couple years, which is epi-gesturing oneself into those states. And so far, I haven't really been able to do that for myself. And then I talk about doing it, but then I don't know if I ever do. Though I do to some extent, because, you know, donating blood is a gesture of caring for other people. And in mania, there, at a lot of the times, there is care for other people. And yeah, so what I'm trying to say is the things that I talk about, I can usually at some point find some kind of evidence that it's true. And again, people who are normal or, you know, sort of like at the mediocre, lowest common denominator level, they've been duped into being that way. Through education and everything. And then people now come along and try to sell them this embodied cognition or actor sizing or fake it till you make it. Like, we're all born with these qualities and then we're programmed out of them. And then, like sheep, we try to go to others to tell us how to get out of it. But the problem is there is no how to. Like, education makes us look to others and ask how to do this, how to do that. When we have the capacity to learn that ourselves within us, and that's how we learn as children, we don't want anyone to show us how to do it. We want to figure it out for ourselves. So, yeah, I'm going to keep my eye out for this movie, You Are What You Act. If I really wanted to, I could act myself into almost anything, probably quite quickly. And like right now, I'm feeling like, so in my current situation, what I'm supposed to act as, daughter, family member, is not my favorite role at all. And so I could easily leave and not have to play that role, and I would be totally different. Because the thing is that I have tried to be myself here, but I get yelled at and attacked because it makes others uncomfortable, because they don't like that energy, because then they have to be different. And I really don't know the difference between me or they or I or you or anything like that. But I do have a capacity to be extremely happy for no reason. Like, that's the thing. Happiness is real when it's not for a particular reason. Because if it's for a particular reason, it can be taken away. And the problem is when we do become happy for no reason in mania, people are like confounded by it, and they don't like this happiness without cause. They're looking for a cause for your happiness. They're trying to figure out, why is this person so happy? And there is no cause, so they can't figure it out. So that energy, other people are sort of, well, they must be ill. Like, that must be the cause, because they're being so different. They're being so happy, way more happy than most people. So, and if a person doesn't say, well, I'm so happy because I'm rich and I'm famous and I have everything I want, well, that would be a good reason. But people in mania generally don't have that. So, I don't know. It's just kind of confusing. And like, I'm happy with nothing, but I'm not happy pretending to be not happy, because that makes other people comfortable. Or I also know that these people can't make me happy, or can't be happy for me being happy for no reason. So, I don't know, I'm just really seeing that I could leave and never come back and be okay with it. And I think that the field might start to sense that, and sort of attack the energy of that to try to get it to not be able to leave. So, to trap a person into playing a role of mental patient or dysfunctional daughter or whatever. Parents would rather have a dysfunctional daughter that's sort of known to be living in the basement than have a daughter that is so happy for no reason and gone. And I don't know if this is true, but I just want to get out of here. So it's the wrong epigenetic matrix, blah, blah, blah. I have to figure out what to do with those charred pieces of paper. It was interesting when I first lit it on fire. I felt like this energy in my hands, like, and I realized that this lighting something on fire had some kind of significance in the past, but I don't know what. Maybe it was also because I was like burning my personal documents that, it's the stuff you're not supposed to put in the garbage. It's just like burning one's identity. And yesterday I watched a video by Dr. Yvonne Kaysen, and she was talking about near-death experiences and the near-death experiences that she had, and also how she was incapacitated for like 12 years and then had a spontaneous healing. And she was talking about these different things that happen in spiritually transformative experiences and near-death experiences, but also saying that they don't understand them. But I feel like I do understand them in a way. She talked about automatic writing, which I've experienced, channeling, I've experienced, telekinesis, which is moving stuff, which I've kind of experienced, electrophotosensitivity syndrome, which is where an aura can fritz out electronic equipment. I think that's what's happening with my new car. Stigmata, wounds on the body, bleeding blood. I haven't had that, but I had blood on a red pepper and blood taste in the water, so I've had that kind of thing. Materialization, materialize things or your own body, and I think I did rematerialize my own body. And she says we don't understand these phenomena. Bilocation, I think I've experienced that. Transdimensional psychic experiences, I've experienced that. Inspired creativity and genius, I've experienced that. And near-death experience, I think I've experienced that, but in a different way. It's really messed up. It would be hard to go into. And yeah, I might email her. She has a good talk on YouTube. She probably has several talks. But yeah, so there's a lot, and I could read about these sorts of things every day. And Steve Pavlina is going to do a course on subjective reality, or no, on abundance. And so I might do that course. And I emailed him a long email saying something like, how would someone create abundance who can't really plan or like remember what one did yesterday or whatever? Like, I didn't wear my Spire device yesterday or today, and I've been wearing it every day. So this is the thing when the brain starts to lose interest in the things that it usually does, and then it's kind of challenging. But yeah, Albert Nuremberg, Yvonne Kaysen. I'm watching another thing on near-death experience. So yeah, I just want to get out of here. Did have some suicidal thoughts today. Like, that would be the easy way to just get out of here. I just arrived at the blood donor clinic, and today I'm going to try to donate blood. I say try because they could reject me due to lack of iron or low blood pressure or something like that. So we'll find out. But hopefully I can save a few lives today. Rejected. My iron is too low. And this makes sense because I got my period yesterday. But it's also, I think it would have been fine, but I don't have my own kitchen to make smoothies with oats, like raw oats and things like that. So, eating only Laura bars yesterday and like A&W the day before isn't really healthy. And I have like acne right now. So not eating healthy is definitely affecting me. And I'll make another appointment for 2 weeks from now, and it should be better because I'll have regenerated some iron. But I think that this shouldn't have happened if I had proper, appropriate epigenetic matrix to cook and keep myself healthy and have my greens. I haven't really been eating healthy at all. So slightly annoying, but I'm gonna go out and buy some yerba mate tea bags for a friend's coffee shop, tea shop. And then I might go to Costco and try and get some packets of stevia. So if I can't be kind by donating blood, I'll be kind by supporting a friend. And yeah. And if I had my own kitchen to make stuff, I would do an experiment on how quickly I can get my iron up after having my period and then donating blood in like 2 weeks, because they have the clinic here every 2 weeks. They have lots of clinics around, but it's just annoying that I'm not able to keep myself as healthy. I text my brain twin to see if he wants to come up here for a while, and maybe we'll get into some crazy shenanigans. Anywho, try not to be annoyed. The only reason to be super happy is for no reason at all. If there's a reason, it's not really true happiness because it has a condition to it. And I think that's the part of bipolar that people don't understand, is being happy for no reason at all. And if people know us and nothing really has changed in our life and we're super happy for no particular reason, people get worried because they see that we don't have a reason to be happy. But that's exactly why we are happy, because there's no reason to be happy. And I got some of my favorite brand of soap, Soapworks, and I couldn't get the tea bags that I wanted to get for my friend, and so I'm gonna look online. And I got a kombucha for no reason but to enjoy it. And I'm gonna go back to the tea shop and just hang out for a while. So I'm reading a little bit of Byron Katie's book, Loving What Is. And I'm finding it kind of helpful. It's interesting, though, to try to detach oneself from the stories of thought, because I've lived in a world where there is no attachment to the stories of thought, and all energy is devoted towards collapsing wave functions of possibility based on infinite possibilities unfolding in each moment. And that is a world beyond stories of the past and of the personal self, and making life about a personal self, making it into a personal story. So, yeah. I guess there could be something to making one's life story better or more interesting, but also knowing it seems that we need a story, because if we don't have one, we're a nobody, and we have access to all energy and all the energy of creation, and we're sort of manic. So I know all these stories aren't true that I'm telling myself about what's happening in the moment, but it also helps me believe in myself, like believe in the sense of the separate self. And one is creating that as a self-protective mechanism to protect others from becoming aware that they're not separate selves, because they don't want to know that. Unless one is around others who are really open to change and transformation. Then that other energy can operate and nobody really notices as much. Or if they do notice, it's not something that's really too disrupting because they're willing to be disrupted. It's quite complex, and I really don't know what comes first, the tofu or the soybean. The last 2 nights I've been sleeping 12 to 13 hours, and I'm tapering off the Zopicone. I took 1/3 last night and 75 milligrams trazodone and 50 plus 12.5 milligrams of quetiapine. So I'm sleeping well, and that's good. It's helpful. So hopefully I can taper off most of the extra sleep meds and still go to sleep. So I had my dentist appointment to fix what's un-feng shui in my mouth, and they fixed the top, but the bottom they couldn't fix. They have to redo the fillings a bit, and it's gonna cost me $500. So it looks like I'm gonna go back to the dentist that did the work and say, please, can you remove this razor sharp edge from my mouth that you put there? So we'll see if I can do that. And on Monday I have an appointment to get the air conditioning in my car fixed. So those are the only real things that have to happen. Not very exciting. And still reading Byron Katie, Loving What Is. And yeah, hopefully my brain twin can come and visit and see what happens. Maybe we can talk together on video or hang out and have fun.